Hello, and welcome to Morning Reflections. I am your host, the FAT Mantis, and today we are going to go down the top 10 list of black superheroes who are not in Marvel or DC, unfortunately. So you're not going to be seeing Black Panther or Miles Morales or Cyborg or anybody else. Basically, if Kevin Feige or Warner Brothers have ever sat down and been like, we need to give this person a movie, you will not be seeing it. And why am I putting such a restriction on this great list? It's because if we did that, we would not see anybody else but Marvel or DC, creating the continued illusion that Marvel and DC are the only comic book companies that exist in the world. I'm going to be talking about the true black heroes who are doing all the heavy lifting, while the Black Panthers of the world are sipping Chianti, living a dream up in Wakanda. Number 10, Cleopatra from Wildstorm Comics. Sarah Brandeis is an archaeologist, and when she put on the Egyptian medallion around her neck, transforming her into a goddess-like figure, a black goddess. She has the power to control weather, but also other things, as in create swarms of locusts, super strength, invulnerability. It is really great to have. That universe's Wonder Woman is a black Nubian goddess. Number 9, Black Hammer. Dark Horse Comics 2016 by Jeff Lemire. So Lucy Weber is a woman whose father, the original Black Hammer, has vanished. Him and his superhero team were fighting the anti-god, and they vanished from this universe. And she spent her entire life trying to open up an interdimensional portal to get to her father. And when she gets there, all the team is alive except for her father. The only thing left of him is his hammer, which can only be lifted by someone truly worthy. When she picks it up, given great power. That's right, the Black Thor is a woman. Deal with it. Unfortunately, we have not seen Lucy Weber be able to rep very hard, because within the first half of the series, I'm talking about 24 issues or something, the story isn't about her. It's about the people who are stuck in the other dimension. However, she's the new OG. This book is selling well. It's extremely good, and you have to give it credit for that. So please check out Lucy in Black Hammer. Spawn from Image Comics, created by Todd McFarlane in 1992 in the pages of Spawn. I would say you all know him. Number 7, Icon, Milestone Comics. Now, before you get into this, I know a lot of you will argue he's a DC character. DC bought the Milestone brand, and they sometimes introduce their characters into it, and he's actually appeared in some DC comics, but very rarely. They don't like to use him. The reason why is he's essentially a black Superman. That's right, he has all the powers of Superman. He's got the cape and all these things. He is essentially black Superman. However, what Milestone Comics did is they did an interesting take on it. His ship comes crashing down on Earth, and the ship, the little pod with the baby, has the ability to transform the little baby into whatever life forms are around, therefore tricking the life forms into thinking it's one of their infants. It crashes in 1839 around a bunch of slaves on a plantation. So it scans them, and it turns the baby into a black kid. So when they find little baby Superman, he's a little black kid, and they take him in, and he's unfortunately raised throughout slavery. So once he becomes a man, he stops aging, and he has to live throughout history. And being scared humans will hurt him or attack his loved ones, he is constantly hiding, but using his powers to help people. He helps people during the Civil War, he helps people during Jim Crow, he helps people fight for civil rights. And it's not until around the 60s, when superheroes start coming about, that he's like, I'm going to don a costume and show them what I'm all about. This is like Superman, but woke Superman. It's freaking good. You need to check it out. And it's also made by Dwayne McDuffie, who was a producer on the Justice League and Static Shock series on television, and was a writer for Justice League comics. He's influential in that being said. Number 6, Lion Man, All Negro Comics, 1947. So the story of All Negro Comics is Jeff Evans Jr., a black journalist and writer, wanted to create comic books who were black so that black kids could have superheroes of their own. So he creates this one comic, and it has 3 short stories in it. One of them being the superhero Lion Man, a scientist, adventurer, agent of the UN, protecting a cache of uranium in a fictional African country. Unfortunately, other printers and other people wanted to boycott the creation of any further issues of All Negro Comics, so they actually threatened the printer that was printing that comic, and they said, if you print this guy's second issue or any others, there's going to be trouble. And he was scared, so he had to turn him down. And Jeff went around to all the printers around, and no one would play ball with him. But another reason why we need to pay him his respect, even though he doesn't have a long line, he is clearly the predecessor to Black Panther. Obviously the thing that inspired Stan Lee's Black Panther. Obviously, no doubt in my mind. Number 5, Sistah Spooky, Dark Horse Comics by Adam Warren. She was first appeared in Empowered number 1. Teresa Spookums. Sistah Spooky has an issue. She has an issue about her own beauty. And the reason why she likes wearing a mask is she thinks she's ugly. Why? Because society has taught her to be ugly. She hates blondes and bimbos and basically the Barbie dolls of the world. And she's developed this complex believing that she's ugly. And her entire character arc is trying to accept her own black beauty. It's an important story to be told. Really, seriously, please check this out. Number 4, Divinity Valiant Comics. First appeared in Divinity number 1, 2015 by Matt Kingt and Trevor Hairsine. This actually starts with one of Valiant Comics' real serious problems. They originally in the 90s were doing very successfully. Unfortunately, their 3 flagship characters were not their own. They were actually kind of renting them out from an old defunct company. One of them was the all-powerful radiation god, Solar Man of the Atom. And when they rebooted the system, they couldn't secure the rights. So ultimately, they had to replace him. Enter Abrams Adams. He is a black orphan being raised in 1950s Soviet Union. So there's even more discrimination against him being black. And he tried to become a cosmonaut. He's working hard to be a cosmonaut. One day they have a mission that has to send him into near an anomaly, a very scary prospect. And they didn't want to endanger a white man. So what do? Of course, they send the black guy. Unfortunately, that is a huge mistake on their part, because not only does he go through a time warp and all sorts of things, interdimensional thing, he comes back with godlike powers, including the ability to fly, create force fields, control radiation, shoot energy blasts, transmute matter, teleport, and sometimes travel through time. Do a lot of things talking about the 80s, Cold War, and the Soviet Union. It's a fun read. Please check it out. Next, I have ASO, Boom Studios. First appearance, Grace Randolph's Superbia, number 1, 2012. So this was created by the writer Grace Randolph and artist Russell Dauterman. Now, Tina Jenkins is the story of a mother with a career. And eventually, after having a child, she has to give up that career. And once her daughter hits the tween years and is a little self-sufficient, she just asks her husband to pitch in a little more so she can go back to her career. And what career am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about superheroism. That's right. She was actually ASO, which is an African trickster goddess. And she is actually a skill-based superhero who uses martial arts, stealth, acrobatics, and a lot of trickery and scams to defeat her enemies. Now check out that character design. That is awesome. That's straight from African art. So she is actually depicting the goddess. But it also, when she does it, she does a great job of transforming from a normal housewife, but when she puts on the costume, she makes sure to always speak in rhymes, stand in the shadows, and just be creepy. And it's a perfect example of how you can live a dual life as a superhero, and it's ultimately good. Now, unfortunately, Superbia was only a 12-issue comic book, limited series, which means we're currently not seeing any more, but maybe, hopefully, there'll be a limited series, or possibly a movie. That's right, get on it. Number 2, Shadowhawk. Image Comics, first appearance, Youngblood number 2, 1992 by Jim Valentino. This comic book was actually a mystery. You didn't know who Shadowhawk was, but a very important thing was the entire cast was black. This was a black comic book. It was like the Cosby Show or a different world. It just lived in the black community. So you didn't know if the cop in the story or the DA or the reporter or any of these black characters were Shadowhawk. Who was it? And one of the big advertisements of the series was who was Shadowhawk. Now it eventually ends up being Paul Johnstone, the assistant district attorney, who happens to be HIV positive as well. He has this helmet that's infused with the spirit of justice, and it empowers him to just kick major ass. Now, he's very violent and brutal. He's hanging his villains, throwing them off roofs and stuff like that, and as a kid, you're gonna love it. But it talked a lot about what was going on in the black community, and also what it's like to be somebody who is dying of HIV, which is something you didn't see in comics a lot. spot. And our number one spot is going to be Jack in the Box, Wildstorm Comics from Kurt Busiek's Astro City 1993, created by Kurt Busiek and Brent Anderson. Now this is Zachary Johnson. He's a legacy character. His father was the original Jack in the Box. And what it is his father was a toy maker who used just like a clown and used his gimmicks and his shenanigans to defeat crime. And then by the time his son takes over, he has complete arsenal of weapons, including a power suit that helps add to his acrobatic agility. He's got telescoping arms that allow him to jump or catch villains. He's got confetti blasts that actually entangle his villains. And he jumps around. He's very Spider-Man-like. He has a lot of quips and he has a lot of jokes. Now, I'm just describing a black superhero right now, but one of his incredible storylines is that his wife is expecting. And he has the anxieties that go along with being a father. He is visited by 3 versions of his son in the future. He has to have this 4-way fight with them, and it's all about the anxieties of being a father, being a good father, and the road ahead. And if it didn't win an Eisner, it should have. And that is my personal number one spot for the best black superhero not in Marvel or DC. What are your picks? What's your top 10? Did I miss any important entries? Please let me know in the comments. Until next time, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Keep reading comic books that aren't Marvel and DC. Not that there's anything wrong with them. Keep living the dream. And until next time, ciao for now.